So what's weird is when they say Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is a big conspiracy theorist and a nut job and crazy and nobody should ever listen to her. It's weird, though, that she's out lefting the left all the time. She was out lefting the squad on Ukraine. She's out lefting them on COVID, and she's telling the truth about COVID. So she says, remember when they told you not to take ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine to help you with COVID? I remember that. I remember when they told us that. They threatened to take away doctors' and pharmacists' license if they prescribed it. I remember that. My doctor told me that, and it was very hard for people to get prescriptions of ivermectin. They controlled and limited distribution of monoclonal antibodies. Remember that? I remember that. So if you lived in a red state, you could get monoclonal antibodies. But if you lived in a blue state, very hard to get them. They were politicizing medicine at the behest of Big Pharma. That's for
even
Big
Dr. Fauci.
Pharma.
He was concerned about, he goes, I don't know why there's not more monoclonals around.
That's right.
Remember that?
Remember that even Fauci said, I don't know why there's not more monoclonals. He knows exactly why there weren't more monoclonals. So they owe answers, and I'll be asking. So turns out she's right about that. And when someone's right about something, no matter if you disagree with them on every other thing, you should try to prop them up. Even if you I probably disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene on 99.9% of the things she says or believes. But she's right here.
Jimmy, I disagree with 90% of the things I've been told she believes. I don't think there's Jewish space lasers.
I mean, so now here's our favorite pretend journalist who's actually a propagandist. He retweets her and says, this is what anti-science extremism looks like. No, actually, Walker, you're what anti-science extremism looks like because you're not following the science. You've never followed the science. Marjorie Taylor Marjorie Taylor Greene is correct, and you're wrong. Does it make you feel good to be dumber and wronger publicly than Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because you are on the regular. This pandemic is still killing thousands every week, but so I guess he didn't see the op-ed in the Washington Post by Dr. Lena Wen that said we're overcounting COVID deaths. That's the Washington Post. So he loves them because they hate Trump. And so I don't know why he doesn't listen to him on this. This pandemic is still killing thousands every week. But Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene are using public office to persecute scientists. No, you're the ones doing that. Anybody who has a counter narrative to the establishment Big Pharma funded narrative about COVID gets silenced and deplatformed. That's what you're doing. That's what your tribe is doing. That's not what they're doing. They're not silencing anybody. Public ought try to persecute scientists, sow confusion, and promote quackery. That's exactly what Walker Bragman's doing continuously. Continuously. It's dangerous. No, what you're doing is dangerous. So so down here, Jake Gillespie comes into his tweet and replies and says, haha, ivermectin is dangerous with all these smiley faces. And then he says, gee, it's funny how it wasn't at all dangerous until COVID-19 came along and they had to ban it from the shelves because it actually works. You should be ashamed of yourself. Ivermectin works like a motherfucker. Now, I can't say it works on COVID-19. I'm not saying that. But ivermectin works for lots of things. I'm not saying that it works for COVID-19. But the reason why they had to lie about ivermectin was because on the chance if it did treat COVID-19, then they couldn't get their emergency use authorization. Same thing with hydroxychloroquine. If either of those things worked, they couldn't get their emergency use authorization and they would lose $100 billion. How much is $100 billion, Walker? That's enough to buy everybody in the corporate media in the United States, plus everybody in government. That's a lot of people because that's a lot of money. And they did it. And then they got guys like you to repeat their big pharma-funded propaganda. And this guy ratioed him on it. So the good news is no one is listening to him anymore, right? People like this. That's why I'm doing this, to show you that the tide has turned. And people aren't listening to idiots like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Sam Harris or Dr. Fauci or this guy anymore. You want to see how they're not listening to him? 33 likes. That's in his own Twitter followers. That's all this can muster when he's smearing people who are right. And this guy ratioed him. He told me, you should be ashamed of yourself. He got 117 likes. This guy's only got 33. His own followers are done with this bullshit. So that's why I'm showing you this, because it's encouraging. Because for 2.5 years now, I've had a 1 million pound weight on my shoulders, wondering what's going on in the world. No one will listen to science. No one will listen to logic. No, everybody's shaming questions. And so finally it's turning. So this is very good news to share with you. He goes on, once again, the COVID vaccine scandal. This is another tweet of his. The COVID vaccine scandal isn't that the jabs don't work.
Jeez.
It's that they're patented. That's the problem. That's the problem. LOL. The corporations aren't bad for having faulty products. They're bad for not giving their shit products away for free.
The portions are too small.
The food is horrible here, and the portions are so small.
Yeah.
So, again, I think the vaccine is safe and effective, and it's wonderful, and it'll keep you
and
from
they deserve a patent.
They deserve a patent because they keep you from getting seriously ill, hospitalized, or death, and they slow
you come up with a thing that great, you think you shouldn't have a patent, Walker?
Your heart should be swelling with pride over the vaccine. So there you go. That guy nearly ratioed him in his own thread. So here's one more. Hearing radio ads for them now. This is I love this. Gotta give it to Big Pharma. It's a narrow and short landing strip to land and taxi a pandemic into the once-a-year booster for maximum profit hangar. That's pretty good writing, huh? That's pretty good writing. It's a narrow and short landing strip to land and taxi a pandemic into the once-a-year booster for maximum profit hangar.
Well, it's easy when you're flying a small private plane.
So anyway, Vax slows the transmission and contraction. It's fantastic. It keeps you from getting seriously ill, hospitalized, or death. The vaccines are safe and effective. Super duper.
I don't know, between me and you, I get high from it.
Yeah. Now Kurt's joking. He doesn't really mean that. So I have to provide context. I do
take a lot of it.
I'm providing. You're not supposed to snort it. Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville, Northampton, Massachusetts, and a lot more places. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets and become a premium member while you're there. You get access to all of our stuff. See you then.